All right, so here's a little video discussing a few things with the left shoulder. So I had a client that had a few different range asymmetries on his left shoulder compared to his right, and he's having some discomfort right around that whole rotator cuff. So these are a couple of the ranges that we saw that were limited on him, and then just a few corrective exercises to help him get back into symmetry. So the very first range that we noticed was a shoulder flexion limit. So that just meant that trying to bring his arm straight up in front like this, couldn't get this left arm up as high as he could bring the right arm up. And we noticed that when he did his right arm, he'd go up there really quick and really easy, whereas the left one, it just took a while. Like it kind of wandered around, he kind of had to shift and kind of compensate a little bit before he could finally even get it close to where the other range was. So that was the first range of motion limit, was that we just couldn't quite raise that arm completely overhead. The second range that we were noticing was a retraction limit. So when this particular gentleman tried to bring his arm one at a time all the way behind him, kind of like this, he could go much further with the right arm, but when he did his left arm, he got kind of stuck right about there. And he could definitely feel like some of that front shoulder pain as he tried to bring the whole body back, and his whole trunk wanted to rotate rather than being able to actually retract that shoulder blade and pull back. Okay, so that was asymmetry number 2. And then the third one that we were looking at was actually just a shoulder elevation limit. So for that one, he just basically was not able to bring this arm out to the side and up as easily or as high as he could do it with this side. So this side was really easy. He could bring that one straight up, kind of like in that snow angel or jumping jack position. But on that left shoulder, he definitely had, some rough time trying to get up any higher than right about there, okay? So again, those are the 3 ranges of motion that we were finding that were limited on that left shoulder. So here's a few different exercises that we can use to try to correct that. The biggest thing to think about is on these exercises, we're mainly trying to work muscles that are right in between the shoulder blades and slightly below the shoulder blades. We're not really trying to work muscles right up in here or on the outside of the delt. Again, if these were your 2 shoulder blades, we're working the muscles that are right in between the shoulder blades and then just below and between the shoulder blades. So these are your lower traps, these are your rhomboids, okay? So one of the first exercises we discussed was actually trying to do a band reverse fly. So you can do this either one arm at a time or both arms, but essentially you can just grab a band similar to this and you're just trying to pull back. But when you're pulling backwards like this, what you're really trying to do is squeeze your shoulder blades together. So you're just trying to pinch those shoulder blades together as you're pulling this band kind of apart. So it's just a reverse fly motion. But again, with your shoulder blades, you're just trying to like squeeze those shoulder blades together with every contraction. Another good way to do this is that if you have a rowing machine, either at a gym or at home, same thing. As you're doing this row, as you pull back, you don't just want to do the, as I call the T-Rex row or the alligator row, where you're making these little T-Rex arms or alligator arms. You really want to open up your chest and really engage those shoulder blade muscles that pull your elbows behind you. So again, you're really trying to emphasize that pull back here and not stay here doing your rowing motions, okay? Because we have to get those upper back muscles to engage to really pull that chest up and squeeze those shoulder blades together. So exercise number 1 was just using a band, and whether you do it one arm at a time or both arms at the same time, trying to do that retraction exercise. And again, maybe only 3 sets of like 10 to 15 repetitions for that. All we're trying to do is just get that muscle to wake up and just activate a little bit. We're not trying to break it down. We're not trying to make it get sore, okay? The second one that we're gonna do is a band upward elevation, okay? You can do this just with your arm, but right now I'm starting with my palm facing behind me. I'm just gently bringing this up and then back down again. And I can try this in a few different positions. I can try it with my thumb up. I can try it with my palm in or down. And I can try it with my palm behind me. This for me personally is the hardest position. But if I go here, I can start to get that shoulder blade to pivot and move. So when you do this, again, try not to just feel the shoulder muscles. Try to feel those muscles that are in between the shoulder blades that are kind of rotating that left shoulder down and in. You're rotating that shoulder blade down and in. It's like a steering wheel, okay? So we're just kind of going up like this and back down again. You can easily do this with a band. You can just step onto the band here and just very gently, just even here, just these little sideways motions like this will help to strengthen that muscle that helps, or that muscle that helps to pivot that shoulder blade kind of up and in. So that's just the band upward elevation or upward rotation. The next one we're doing is just a band front raise. And for this one, typically I like the band mounted to something a little bit higher. So here I'm just gonna attach it to a pole that's here in my garage. And for this one, I'm starting with this band. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. I'm trying to move this band kind of over my head. So I'm starting like this, and I'm just trying to bring this gently back and behind me. And it's okay if you have to start a little further forward, even like this. But this is one that I kind of try and describe as like a handle and the blade on a shovel. So your shoulder blade is like the blade on the shovel, and this is like the handle on the handle of a shovel. What you're trying to do is dig that blade in to pull the shoulder back. You're not just trying to crank here with the arm, you're trying to generate that motion from the shoulder blade as you gently pull that back. You want to feel muscles around the shoulder blade pulling that arm straight back, okay? And then the last one that we're going to look at is a downward adduction motion. So this one, it can keep the band kind of mounted high like this. And all we're trying to do is bring the arm down and in next to your side and then back up again. And when you do this, you should feel a muscle that's right underneath your armpit that's basically trying to pull your arm into your side and then back out to the side again. So you're trying to squeeze it in and then back up again. Shouldn't feel anything here on the top of the shoulder. You should be feeling these muscles that are underneath the armpit that attach to your ribs as you squeeze that arm in and then back out to the side again. Squeeze it in and back out to the side. So all of these band exercises, you want to stay within that kind of minimum threshold. You don't want to overdo it. So again, maybe 3 sets of about 10 to 15 repetitions, but use your own body's feedback to try to determine how much load you should increase or decrease that exercise by. And also remember that range of motion plays a big role into that as well, okay? That's it for some shoulder exercises.